Do you find the woods to be scary? Or is it more of a serene world, away from our busy, overscheduled, over-notified lives? I find the remoteness so tranquil. However, on the other side of that coin is isolation, where no one could help you if you needed it. This may have been the case for a woman named Natalee in Colorado. A seemingly healthy young woman suddenly died in the forest. What would cause a healthy 20-year-old adult to venture into the woods and die? Let's discuss the baffling case of Natalee Drissell. Just a quick note before we get started. If you are interested in mysterious stories about missing people or other strange occurrences, well, those are my favorite too. I try to upload as often as I can. Consider subscribing and leaving a comment so we can stay in touch. Natalee Drissell was a kind and promising 20-year-old woman. She had a very religious background and was often known for her compassion and empathy, often reaching out to friends in times of distress. Described as someone sensitive to the struggles of others, she would often be a support to her friends and pray for them. After high school, she enrolled in Palm Beach Atlantic University in Florida, which is a private Christian university. There, she was studying as a communications major and was highly involved in the school's missions department. Natalee had a strong commitment to service that extended to places like Chennai, India, with plans for future missions, hoping to make a positive impact on the world. People who knew Natalee said she had a cheerful demeanor and overall just really well liked. As you can probably imagine, with a religious background, she would be considered someone who didn't partake in alcohol or drugs. It was in the summer of 2003 in Colorado that Natalee found a romantic connection. While working at the Horn Creek Christian Conference Center, she met a guy and began a relationship. After her boyfriend had visited her both at home in Missouri and in Florida, it was her turn to visit him in Colorado. That following Thanksgiving break, Natalee was keen to go back to Colorado to visit him, and she was even allowed to stay in one of the cabins at Horn Creek. Natalee and her boyfriend spent Thanksgiving Day together. The next day, on Friday, November 28th, Natalee's boyfriend dropped her off at her guest cabin late into the night at 12:30 a.m. He returned later that morning at 8:30, eager to see Natalee. However, she was nowhere inside the cabin. He did notice something outside the cabin. In the snow, there were footprints that appeared to have been made with someone's bare feet. Natalee's boyfriend followed the path of the footprints into the forest. They seemed to meander through the trees and thick brush. And finally, about 200 yards from the cabin, he found Natalee's lifeless and nude body. Traumatized and upset, he immediately contacted the police. Natalee's boyfriend reported that there had been only one set of footprints leading to her body. She appeared to have been deceased for many hours by that point, as rigor mortis had been observed. The police noted that her steps appeared erratic and meandering. The Custer County Sheriff stated that he believed Natalee had died around 12:30 a.m. based on the state of her body. This puts the time of her death as being shortly right after her boyfriend dropped her off at her cabin. The county coroner noted that Natalee had bruises and scratches throughout her body, with notable bruising on her left forearm, wrist, and hand. Pine needles were tangled in her hair and dirt was found on her face, chest, and back. From these observed details, it was surmised that Natalee had wandered into and stumbled through the dense forest, crashing into trees and branches along the way. Other than the bruises and the scratches, there were no other injuries. There were no internal injuries, no brain hemorrhaging, no injuries around her neck, anything that would indicate that she'd been attacked. The coroner also stated there was no evidence of sexual assault. Lab tests also indicated that no drugs or alcohol was present in Natalee's body. The only odd finding was that her urine test indicated that she had an elevated glucose level. Given that Natalee's boyfriend was her romantic partner and the last person to see her alive, he seems like the most obvious suspect if this was a case of murder. However, the coroner's report indicated that there were no injuries consistent with an attack, and so this greatly lowers the likelihood of his involvement. His identity was never released because he was never a suspect. Several newspapers that interviewed people who knew Natalee confirmed that she was known for her strong religious convictions and commitment to purity. Investigators, having explored the conventional theories, decided to consider the potential impact of religious fasting or a possible eating disorder as being the cause for her sudden death. During the autopsy, Natalee's stomach was notably empty. This was despite recently attending a hearty Thanksgiving dinner. The sustained absence of food and drink can cause potentially fatal problems in the body's regulation of electrolytes. Electrolytes are needed by cells to manage bodily functions like body temperature. Friends and acquaintances revealed that Natalee had previously dealt with a borderline eating disorder during high school, and she had mentioned plans to fast and pray during her time in Colorado. It was later revealed Natalee was struggling with making a really large life decision, as she was considering transferring to Colorado to be closer with her boyfriend. While religious fasting is a recognized spiritual discipline, her tragic death has prompted a closer examination of its potential role. Still, another news source reported that although Drissell apparently had not eaten for a few days, she had been taking fluids and was not dehydrated. The same news source goes on to report that Custer County Sheriff Fred Jobe said, "We've ruled out hypothermia because she was not in a position consistent with freezing to death." With all the information in hand and still no obvious reason for Natalee's bizarre and unsettling death, the county coroner finally made a ruling of excited delirium as the cause. Excited delirium is characterized as an aggression, agitation, distress, and sudden death. It was initially used to describe the agitated behavior of patients with cocaine toxicity, and later the cause of death in hyperactive people if an autopsy failed to identify a specific cause. This cause of death has been subject to controversy recently, as it's been used as grounds for sedation or restraint by police officers. And of course, I'm not saying that the police had anything to do with Natalee's death, but overall, this cause of death just sounds like a "we don't know why she died" and something to fill in the blank. Several medical organizations have discredited the term and believe it's pseudoscience, saying the condition excited delirium is not supported by evidence. In this strange story of Natalee Drissell's heartbreaking sudden passing, it remains that we are left with an explanation, although it's not a very satisfying one. Despite investigations and a middling conclusion of excited delirium, her mystery endures. How does a seemingly healthy 20-year-old woman just suddenly die? Unfortunately for Natalee's family and loved ones, some mysteries remain, leaving them without closure and their questions unanswered.